Hey, welcome to another unboxing video. So this one goes from K to L, and so this one is Roland Kirk. He later changed his name to Roland Kirk, and this one's called Slightly Latin. So it was definitely influenced by commercial trends of the time. They wanted to do a lot more Latin influence on the jazz music of the time. This is not as, not as close to what Roland Kirk's ideal music would have been, but it's very good jazz, and it had, well, let's see, what, oh yeah, it has And I Love Her, so it has a Beatles cover on it, so that's one reason I got it. It's one of the earlier jazz records on the Limelight before they went into the electronic music, but definitely stuff by Roland Kirk. He's a very talented saxophone player. He would play multiple saxophones, so he would play two saxophones from his mouth at the same time. Very, very interesting talent. This is Everything But the Kitchen Sink. The sink is spelled C-I-N-Q. So very, just kind of a garage band. And let's see, what else do we have here? John Clemmer, he's kind of a saxophone jazz guy. I'd probably say Roland Kirk is better, but they're both, jazzy guys. Carol Kleyn, Love Has Made Me Stronger. So this is, few people know who she is, but she is this amazing female vocalist who put out her own records in the San Francisco Bay Area, I think mostly in the 70s and early 80s. She played the harp, so she's kind of like a Joanna Newsom, 20 years ahead of schedule. But yeah, Carol Kleyn, Love Has Made Me Stronger, and so that's one of her records. And there's a very nice song on it called Love's Going Around, and this one's called Carol Kleyn, Taking the Time. So it is a later record she did. This one I think has some there's one called She Lost Her Crown that I think has some backup vocals from Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown not being, Mr. Whitney Houston Bobby Brown, but Bobby Brown, a very interesting psychedelic street performer in the San Francisco Bay Area who made his own instruments. So she knew this guy. In fact, I think Bobby Brown might have built her own harp, and then she just did her own records with that. Carol Kleyn, very interesting, kind of new agey, Joni Mitchell-esque singer. Now this is good. Psychedelic Soul, Curtis Knight. He was a good dude. He knew Jimi Hendrix back in the day. So he was kind of hanging out with Jimi Hendrix when Jimi Hendrix was a sideman for various soul bands. So I think Jimi Hendrix worked for Curtis Knight, but after Jimi Hendrix went all psychedelic, Curtis Knight decided, hey, I'm going to go all psychedelic too, and I'm going to follow Jimmy. Even though I used to hire him, I'm going to follow him. So Down in the Village, it's a very, very funky, very psychedelic, hard rockin' record. Yeah, just good stuff. Good stuff. So if you want something hard, something soulful, and also funky, and also psychedelic, it's like all of these things. So Curtis Knight, Down in the Village. And Ted Knight. So this is one of those celebrity Golden Throats records, Ted Knight from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Hi, guys. And what's this? Oh, John Knowles, Sitting Back Pickin'. So this is a kind of a solo guitar, bluegrass finger-picking style guitar. It has several Beatles, so it has 4 Beatles covers in a row on the first side: Blackbird, Lady Madonna, Yesterday, and Eleanor Rigby. but it's just good, finger picking style guitar. And this is a guy I like, Thurston Knudson. And Thurston Knudson was one of the guys who introduced a lot of African percussion to people in the United States during the 1950s. So this is one of his albums, Thurston Knudson, Master of Percussion. Very, 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 very late. Just a cover that just seizes the eyes. Here's a more low-key, subdued cover, African Jungle Drums, Primitive Percussion by Thurston Knudson. And then we've got, there's a psych band called Koala, and I think I need an upgrade on this one, but it's good. It's good psychedelic stuff. The guys are in, reverse negative, psychedelically colored reverse negative photo of that. Eddie Kochak with Fred Elias and the El Mecca Ensemble. This is kind of, I guess, the psychedelic period belly dance record that Eddie Kochak made. So it's often the one that the Eddie Kochak record that people want to get. Ya Salam. And then Mo Kaufman. Mo Kaufman goes electric. So this has electric flute, sitar, and tambura. Mo Kaufman was a jazz guy. He kind of had a hit with the Swingin' Shepherd Blues, but this is where he's getting into the 60s and trying to get into the psychedelic ethos and zeitgeist of the age while still being a good jazz guy. And here's a very good. This is an amazing condition when I got it. I didn't have to pay much money for it. It was like $8 or $10, but like the condition is ridiculously good. It's Wild Orchids, the exotic sounds of Rex Kona and his mandarins. So it's kind of a Hawaiian / Asian feel to your exotica records. Definitely something worth checking out. And let's see. This one's a Greek record. She's some model, I think, but it has a Beatles cover on it, so I had to get it. It's a Beatles cover in Greek. Very hard language to get those Beatles covers, but I got one. George Kosaruba. So George Kosaruba was a pediatrician in North Carolina who played the musical saw. I'm not totally sure. I was actually born in North Carolina, so he may have been my pediatrician. But this guy was just a very interesting guy. He played the musical saw, and I believe he also set a record for being the oldest guy ever to jump out of an airplane as a skydiver. So very interesting. So these are I Saw the Christmas Carols. So it's an album of Christmas carols done solely on the musical saw. And here we have Richard Castellant's Invocations. It's an electronic experimental composition based a lot on hymns from religions all over the world, and it's by Richard Castellant's Invocations. And Chim Kothari, Sound of Sitar. So this is a good raga pop record from the mid-60s. It does stuff so it's more loungy, so it's more Sound of Music and Guantanamera, and so more loungy stuff from the Middle Age set, less of the contemporary top 40 pop, but it has Eleanor Rigby on it, so on sitar, so it's it's definitely it goes into interesting places. And Here's a record, Koto. Koto, the Beatles. So this is it's called the Koto Ensemble. A koto is a Japanese stringed instrument. It has a classic Japanese or Asian sound, if you've ever heard it. And so mine has the original obi intact on it. And it's called, it's basically Beatles songs that are done on a Japanese koto. So very interesting for that reason. And this is a sort of compilation / reissue. It's Kraftwerk, the great electronic music group, the great German progressive krautrock electronic music group Kraftwerk. This is called Doppel Album. It is a repackaging of Kraftwerk's first 2 albums. Those first 2 albums are hard to get in their original pressings, but this is a pretty nice contemporary repackaging of those first 2 albums, all in one record. And it has Autobahn on it, and it has Ruckzuck. Ruckzuck was a song that was used as the theme song to a PBS science show called Newton's Apple. Very, very nice electronic themes on this. And this is a great one-hit wonder group, Bob Cuban and the In-Men, very nice Texas band. They were kind of a party soul rock band. The Cheater was their only top 40 hit, but it's a killer song. Also, if you can get a 45 of Bob Cuban and the In-Men's or Bob Cuban's version of Harlem Shuffle, that is a good one. That is a good one. Like you Northern Soul people, you should love that cover of Harlem Shuffle that Cuban did. So it's killer. And let's see. So this is Fred Kuhn and Light, a Song of God's Gone Mad. So this is kind of post-psychedelic. So this is a guy who, it's from 1980, and so it's kind of a guy who was like, kind of a hippie, an unrepentant hippie, but he kind of didn't get a chance to record a record until like the hippie era had passed. And it has some, like there's a great Lord Lucifer, so I guess he was into devil worship or something, but he's also a hippie, a really weird guy. Anyway, okay. This is a Out of the Mouths of Babes, compiled by Sid Cooler. So this is just a spoken word LP with cute kids being cute on it. And Kamiko Anthology. So this one has some Japanese versions of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and it's a picture disc. So I guess they were mainly trying to use the singer's looks as the major draw to buying this record. I mainly bought it because of the Beatles cover, but your mileage may vary. Thule Kupferberg, no deposit, no return. So Thule Kupferberg was a beatnik poet. He was old enough, I think he was older than Allen Ginsberg, so he was pretty old by the time the hippie stuff started. But he had like a lot of beatnik street cred, and then he later became a member of the Thugs. But he was also a poet. He was a beatnik poet in his own right. And for this record the concept is just ridiculously weird. So what he does is he reads old-timey advertisements from the back of old newspapers, and he just reads them verbatim. And they're just the most bizarre things, because he just picks the weirdest he can find. And there's like, he like reads like advertisements from the 1940s about penis enlargement pumps. and it's on this record. It's just absolutely ridiculous and wonderful. And let's see. Oh, Chim Kothari's America. So this is a promo LP. This is Chim Kothari. He had a famous Judd band in the early 60s. This is a later record after Chim Kothari got under the auspices of this crazy religious guru guy named Mel Lyman. And Mel Lyman started a cult called the Lyman family, and he recruited Chim Kothari into the group because Mel Lyman was a member of Chim Kothari's Judd band, and Lyman just sort of took over Kothari's mind or whatever. And anyway, Chim Kothari's America. So it's actually not psychedelic. It's actually more rootsy Americana stuff, but there's a weird hippie cult story behind the record. And let's see. Oh, okay. And so we just went from K.W. Kothari to end the letter K. This is L7. L7. It's the band that's known for Pretend That We're Dead. They had a hit with that song in the 90s. This is an earlier record they did, which is harder to find. What is it called? So this one had, I think this is just self-titled. It is just the self-titled one called L7. And it is on Epitaph Records, the punk rock label. And it has Bite the Wax Tadpole, Running from the Law, Stan Candler. So a lot of punk content on this one. And an all-female punk band at that. And Lacewing. This is a really nice psychedelic band, also on the Mainstream label. See, I told you, Mainstream has a lot of great unknown psychedelic bands that were on it. If you can, try to collect the whole set, I guess, see what happens. But Lacewing is one of the good bands that were a psychedelic band on Mainstream. And here we have Lady in Cement. So this is one of these psychedelic go-go soundtracks in an Austin Powers sounding way. So if you're trying to get like an Austin Powers feel with a mod go-go psychedelic sound, Lady in Cement. Lady in Cement is a really good soundtrack for that. And let's see, it had Raquel Welch, a very younger Raquel Welch. Lady June's linguistic leprosy. Lady June's linguistic leprosy. I'm trying to remember. There were some English rock guys that were associated with this weirdness. There was a bunch of guys from. I'll have to look up who famous people that were involved in this, but this is weird. Okay, so Laibach was, they're very Eastern Germanic, very, very industrial Germanic, harsh, but basically it's track for track remake of the Beatles' Let It Be album, which is an insane idea to do, but since it's all Beatles songs, I had to get it, so, oh boy. Okay, this is good. This is really good. Ramal Lamar, she was, I don't know what her real name is, but Ramal Lamar, she did her own belly dance music in the 1980s. So this is Omens, Oracles, and Mysticisms of Dance, and it's on Lotus Records, which I think was her own record label. And look at how crazy this is. It is just amazing cover. And so she did belly dance music, but she kind of modernized it by putting synthesizers in it, and it's cool stuff. And Bobby Lamb and the Keymen. So if you like a UK loungy stuff, this is on BBC Records. That'll fit the bill for you. And then, let's see, David Lampel, No More Mr. Nice Guy. So this is kind of a, I think, a black oriented soundtrack. I'm gonna have to revisit this one. And then, yeah. Oh, this is another one of my favorite of those TV kid show tie-ins, and it is amazing psych bubblegum. So this is Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution. If you need to, so Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution was a kind of spy spoof show. And it was live action, and all of the acting was done by chimpanzees. Yeah, it was done by chimpanzees. I am not kidding you about this. You can look up clips of this on YouTube. I kid you not. Would I steer you wrong? I kid you not. I mean, I don't need to make up stuff when, like, history is so weird. So, Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution. And the show was, like, on for maybe a year, and then it got canceled because one of the chimpanzees bit one of the executives at the TV network, and he's like, I am not, like, I have to get I have to go to the doctor to deal with monkey bite. I'm like, no, we are pulling the plug on this. But the thing is, Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution. Lancelot Link was a spy, so he was like your chimpanzee version of Austin Powers. And his cover was that he would play in a rock band called the Evolution Revolution, because they're monkeys, so they call themselves the Evolution Revolution. But they're a psychedelic bubblegum rock band. And the thing is, the tunes are actually pretty good. They're good. Which is, like, it shouldn't be this good, but it is. Like, sometimes people have a crap project, but they do their damnedest to do the best quality work, and this is an example of that. Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution. So that is your tip from me. And this is a very hard instrumental surf record, The Lancers, and I think So this is a instrumental surf rock group that was a bunch of kids who were military brats in the Panama Canal Zone. So I have no idea why this record turned up in Minnesota, but when I saw it turn up in Minnesota, I just grabbed it. So sometimes if there's something from some weird corner of the world and you wonder, how did it get to my corner of the world? You just need to reach out and grab it while it's still available and accessible, because it might not be there when you look for it again. Day Spring by Kip Landon. So this is a folk record. One of the things that's very unusual about it is it has a song on it called Hitler's Dance. So it's basically a folk song about how Hitler, I mean, it is not pro-Hitler, thank God, but it is like, who writes a folk song with the word Hitler in the title? But it actually kind of works, because it's about, like, Hitler, Hitler's blitzkrieg style warfare going through all these European countries, and all these European countries falling to Nazism, and it's done with the appropriate, it's done tastefully, and it's done, but it's just like, who has the idea to, you can see why this guy did not get a lot of commercial sales, because he, like, came up with a folk song called Hitler's Dance. Just why do people do this? Anyway, Landslide, a two-sided fantasy. This is on Capitol Records, but it is like one of the harder, like, early hard rock, psych into early hard rock records that Capitol did at the time period. And This is a kind you're supposed to pronounce it Ocean, but the name of the guy who did it is Larkin, but the record is pronounced Ocean, even though it's spelled ocean. Okay, whatever, dude. So this record, I think, has some whale noises on it, and it's kind of tutti frutti new age music. But, you know, sometimes you're into that kind of thing. And, okay. To the essence of a candle, wind-sung sounds, flute music through Larkin. So this is the same guy. I think I found this in a garage sale in North Dakota somewhere, of all places, or maybe it was Colorado. But it was like, like if you're traveling out of state, you really need to like go hunt the thrift stores and the out of the way record stores, because you never know. You never know what crazy crap you're going to come up with. And then Bob Larson speaks out on rock music. Bob Larson was a Christian media personality of the late 60s, early 70s. Here he is speaking out on rock music. It is a spoken word record, but what makes it worth getting is it has a bunch of Bob Larson actually playing, you know, fried electric guitar on it. I mean, he says, like, after he plays it, he says, like, the riffs are satanic and you shouldn't like it, but it's like, it's actually good. So it's like, he's undercutting his own message. And Herb Larson, so this is a different Larson guy, Herb Larson, Sax Appeal. So this is on Command, so it is on Command Records. So it's one of those Enoch Light lounge records, but the stuff that Enoch Light produced, such as anything on Command Records or anything on Project 3 Records, they tend to be of very high quality because Enoch Light was very, very, very meticulous about sound quality. And so Herb Larson, so a lot of loungy pop records on Command and Project 3, some of which you can find for like $1 in garage sales, are actually quite good in sound quality. So this is Ron Larson. This is, I think he's local to Wisconsin or Minnesota. One reason I got it is there's a cover version of the Beatles' Something on it. Some good cover versions. It also has the Dylan cover version, Lay Lady Lay, on it. And then we've got, what else do we got? Oh, Banjo on My Mind by Leroy Larson. So this is banjo music, and it has Norwegian wood played on a banjo. So pretty good there. And so this is kind of a subgenre I like. I haven't talked about this before, but it is Jacques Lazary. Jacques Lazary, he's a French composer, and he made these amazing sound sculptures. So he would make these sculptures that were capable of producing sound if you struck them or if you played them with a bow. And he would make compositions based on these unique sculptures he created. And this one's called Chronophagy, which means the time eaters. This was one that was actually released in the United States on Columbia Records. So this was Jacques Lazary, and it was part of Columbia's Music of Our Time series, where they were trying to market experimental classical music to hippies. So Chronophagy, the Time Eaters, and so this is like a U.S. version of their music. And let's see, what else and this is an earlier, I think this one's from the 1950s. So this is from Urania Records. So this is something Jacques Lazary did, which has like glass organ, crystal organ. So it's kind of like a glass organ or glass harmonica with percussion added to it. And it was on Urania, which was a classical label that was active mainly in the 1950s, and it's called Sonata Exotique. It is, it was very hard to find back in the day, although I don't know if it's easier to find. Maybe you can just find it on Discogs, but this is very, very, very interesting music. So it's very much of a piece with his sound sculpture work, but he was doing it with glass and percussion sounds. So very, very interesting guy. So let's see what else we have. Ron Lasseter. So this is an electric keyboard. It's not Moog synthesizer, but it's kind of electric keyboard synthesizer stuff. And the James Last. So James Last, he is a German band leader, but he's probably, so there's a kind of a German version of lounge music called Schlager. Most of that stuff I don't like very much. It's very syrupy and maudlin. James Last was kind of the guy who put sort of a go-go beat to German lounge music. And so some of his stuff is actually kind of good, by lounge music standards, and it has like a kind of a go-go beat to it. Though the one to get, if you have to get one James Last record, this is the one to get. Voodoo Party. So it's kind of an exotica voodoo feel to it, but it's also kind of a disco tech go-go dance record to it at the same time. And he's a really good arranger, so he makes these two different musical influences go together, whereas the lesser composer might not make it work, but he does. And the Last Poets. So the Last Poets, these guys are righteous. So the Last Poets are a bunch of sort of Afrocentrist poetry slams, proto-rap poets. Gil Scott-Heron was the most famous member of the Last Poets. Gil Scott-Heron also later branched out and do a lot of solo work, but the Last Poets, pretty much anything you can find by them, get it. Here's another Last Poets record, Jazzoetry. This is a later jazzy one. I think the Diggable Planets, the hip-hop group The Diggable Planets, sampled from these guys, sampled from this particular album. And then this is Madness, the Last Poets. So this is one of their records from the early 70s. So not as compromised as some of their 80s stuff. I mean, this is just killer stuff. This is where the song Pump Up the Volume, if you remember that line from Pump Up the Volume, rhythmatic, systematic world control, magnetic, genetic to match your soul, that comes from a line off of this record. This is Madness. This is Madness, the Last Poets. So get your Last Poets fix, because it is just, the Last Poets, just killer. They are like proto-rap, and they are righteous. They are dropping some science on you, dropping some knowledge on you. Whether you're white or black, just open your ears, open your mind, and listen. But anyway, Vincent Price. Okay, so I have this under L because the composer's name is Alexander Laszlo. It is narrated by Vincent Price. It's called This World Tomorrow, a music panorama. And I think it was like a part of a sort of World's Fair futuristic kind of event. But one of the reasons I'm pulling it out is I believe it is on blue vinyl. Futuristic space age blue vinyl. So really nice. All right, let me put this back together. Hope you don't get bored when I'm putting this record back together, but that's what I'm doing. And so Victor Laszlo, This World Tomorrow. That is just amazing. And of course, Vincent Price. I love Vincent Price. He has an amazing voice, so pretty much any spoken word record with Vincent Price on it is a winner in my book. And I do have some Vincent Price spoken word material that I will show later under P for Vincent Price. So this is Alexander Laszlo's This World's Tomorrow, and let's see, what was I? Okay, this is Laszlo. Latin, so this is the Latin Percussion Jazz Ensemble. I just had to get it based on the name of the group, and it is what it is. Latin Percussion Jazz. How can you go wrong? This is just really good stuff. It is exactly what it advertises. So I like records that are just what it says on the tin. Okay, Latin Soul. Santi Latora, free electronic sound. So this is a very sexy looking cover. The woman's very sweaty. Who knows why or how she got sweaty? Let's just imagine how she got sweaty. And then it's just got, I don't think there's heavy breathing on the record. I think it's just mostly, electronic keyboard stuff. But I may have to listen to it again to see if there's heavy breathing on the record. This one, so this is Lavender Country. Unfortunately, the cover's not so good, but the record's clean. So this is a private press record, Lavender Country, and it is a gay record. It was associated with the gay liberation movement, but it is country and western, so it's 1973 that it came out. So it was a very early out gay record, very much out of the closet, very, very militant. There's a song on it called Back in the Closet Again, which is done to the tune of the Gene Autry song Back in the Saddle Again, but it is like militantly about the necessity of coming out of the closet and how gay people cannot be liberated unless they come out of the closet and declare themselves as gay. So, but it came out in 1973, so it is definitely something way ahead of its time. And so here I have a bunch of comedy records from the 1950s by a guy named Eddie Lawrence. He's kind of a cult comedian. He kind of has a cult similar to I'd say Brother Theodore or Lord Buckley has a bigger cult, but Eddie Lawrence is also kind of tough to find, and he also has a idiosyncratic sensibility of his own. So I like people who definitely have their own viewpoint on the world to inform their work. So here, the law, you, and illegal sex. You could probably figure it out from the title, but this is just an absolutely amazing spoken word record. The Law, You, and Illegal Sex. There is another one in this series which I have not been able to track down called The Law, You, and Illegal Narcotics. So if you can find the album The Law, You, and Illegal Narcotics, I'd probably just kiss you because I need to find a copy of that record. So if you have that record, please let me know. And Learn to Play Chess the Easy Way, Al Horowitz. So Learn to Play Chess. And then this is Turn On, Tune In, Drop Out. It is the soundtrack record to a Timothy Leary movie, so I have it filed under L for Timothy Leary. Very early psychedelic film and psychedelic film soundtrack. And this is The Leather-Coated Mines, a trip Down the Sunset Strip. Very nice cover. Very nice cover. It's a very interesting psychsploitation record. It's mostly covers. I think J.J. Cale was not John Cale. He's from the Velvet Underground, but J.J. Cale, the guy who wrote Cocaine, that was later made a hit by Eric Clapton. So that's this guy. I think that's him on the front cover. So it's the leather-coated mines, a trip down Sunset Strip. And then we have the Leaves. This is the second Leaves album. Leaves, All the Good That's Happening. So this is where the Leaves go more psychedelic and try to branch out. But they were kind of past their hit-making days. This is the record that has their big hit, Hey Joe. So their version of Hey Joe is not the slow Jimi Hendrix version. It is actually a much more fast version. And that was actually the first hit version. So it came out in 1966, and it is super fast. Hey Joe, where are you going to go? Shot your woman down, blah, blah, blah. But they do it super fast, and it's killer. They were kind of a garage punk band, but they had a folk rock attitude too. They did a lot of Dylan covers, and so they do kind of like garage and folk rock on this record, and it's actually really good. And here, let's see. Psychedelic goes Latin, the LeBron Brothers Orchestra, and You the Cane. So this is a compilation from 1985 of work from an experimental electronic Canadian composer. He must be French-Canadian. Le Cane sounds French. And then after Le Cane, much less obscure group, but one you gotta have a couple of records by, Led Zeppelin. So I just have Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 4, but you gotta have at least some Led Zeppelin in your collection, because otherwise what's wrong with you? Led Zeppelin rocks. So Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 4 for me, although I probably should get some more Led Zeppelin to fill out the collection. Arthur Lee, Vindicator. So this is Arthur Lee, the guy who founded the band Love, the psychedelic band Love. This is one of his solo records. The guy was so weird that he was thinking of changing his name from Arthur Lee to Arthur Lee, as in L-Y, Arthur Lee, like he was going to change his name to an adjective. No, I mean an adverb. If it's L-Y, it's an adverb. So he was changing his name from Arthur Lee to Arthur Lee, an adverb, because he's nuts. And unfortunately, he passed away quite a few years ago, but I got to see him in concert many moons ago. Terry Lee, Magic Music. This is a very interesting record. I think it had, it's just psychedelic. It's just a guy screwing around in the studio and calling it psychedelic. Had some very interesting stuff on it. I'm going to have to listen to it again, because if I remember it, it was like all over the map. Because it was basically, some of those psychedelic records are basically let somebody loose in the studio and have them, make a bunch of weird sounds. And that was one of those records. Sandra Lee and the Velvets live. So this is, I think, a local Minnesota record. Yeah, from Mankato, Minnesota. It has some Beatles songs on it. You Won't See Me. So it has the Beatles' You Won't See Me. Is that on Revolver? No, not Revolver. Rubber Soul. You Won't See Me is on Rubber Soul. Melvin Lead sings today's hits. So this one has And I Love Him, the female version of And I Love Her. And what do we have? Oh, yes. Douglas Leedy, another electronic record, The Electric Zodiac. And I have I think, some other. So this is Douglas Leedy and Tropical Paradise. So it is a kind of a 6 sonic environments. So, and it has this amazing op art cover on the front. And then here, Douglas Leedy, A Very Merry Electric Christmas to You. So I'd like to get this out to have some Christmas songs that are out of the ordinary. Like if I make tapes for Christmas, of Christmas music, I'd like something from this. And then Sybil Leek. So Sybil Leek, I believe, she was a psychic, heavily into astrology. So this is an album she did where she does some spoken word stuff about the signs of the zodiac with some musical accompaniment. So I like these zodiac records, and this is one of them. And the Left Bank. So Left Bank, Walk Away Renee, and Pretty Ballerina. This is a good. So it's very Baroque pop, but they still play like a real band, and so it has like a real rock band, garage band feel, but it's pretty. It's pretty with a lot of Baroque classical sounds to it, but it's still like a band, and it's good. You're familiar with Walk Away Renee and Pretty Ballerina. Those were the 2 big hits. But there's some other good ones on here. She May Call You Up Tonight is very good. I Haven't Got the Nerve is maybe well known because it was sampled on the Natural One, which was a hit by the Folk Implosion in the 1990s. And so Walk Away Renee, Pretty Ballerina, it's a very good album by the Left Bank. If you ever see it, it does turn up because Walk Away Renee was kind of a top 10 hit. If you ever see it, do get it. It is a good band. And the legendary Stardust Cowboy, Rocket to Stardom. So this is a totally crazy, balls out country and western record. The legendary Stardust Cowboy, he is most legendary for a song called Paralyzed. Paralyzed, if you've ever heard it, it sounds like Bob Dylan on peyote in a blender being run over by a marching band. It is amazing and beautiful, and I love it. So Rocket to Stardom by the legendary Stardust Cowboy. This is one of his later records, but I like it a lot. And this is the final one in the box. The Peter Lemer Quintet, Local Color. Local Color. So this one is on ESP Records. It's one of the harder to find ESP albums that were on a color cover. ESP kind of cheaped out and did a lot of black and white covers. But this one's color. It's called Local Color by the Peter Lemer Quintet. So they had a lot. So this is one of their jazz records. So ESP disc had a lot of very interesting envelope pushing experimental jazz on the record. So if you like that sort of thing, look for records that are on the ESP disc label. So anyway, thank you for watching, and that's box number 17.